Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Naaman with the DC Camp, branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. First and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Shem Kahawadash, and of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, not to mention the numerous videos that they upload, all right, to further push the truth out across the four corners of the earth here. And we know that it is working. All right, it has worked, as a matter of fact, and continues to do so. So, what we have here today, I'm going to read the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses are use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Fair use. All right. So, coming up here on the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. All right. So, yeah, we're going to put that out there. Never forget, right? So, yeah, these you get to see, again, revisit that crime that happened. That's one huge crime scene. Hurricane Katrina and what happened thereafter. So let's go into it. This is again Introvert Rockstar. All right, his site, and here we go.
God, disappointed by every branch of government that exists.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thompson.
Yes, I know for a fact it was a race issue. Because you see, I live in one of the housing developments in New Orleans. And trust me, nothing happens anywhere like it happens in the project. You know, we are secluded. I mean, not secluded, but we are. You put a bunch of us in an area together. Oh,
Look at that devil looking. That's that motherfucker from here in Virginia when he was in Congress. This is, of course, 20 years ago, or almost.
Go to the convention center. When we stepped outside, guns were pointed on us. I felt like we were being told to go outside in order to be killed. No one's going to tell me it wasn't a race issue. Yes, it was an issue of race because they knew one thing. When the city had pretty much been evacuated, the people that were left there mostly was black.
Can I ask a question though? Then was that city, state, and federal? Do you fall all the levels?
I fought everybody. Anytime, excuse me, my 5-year-old grandbaby is sitting on the ground with her hands in the air with a beam pointed between her eyes saying, Mom, am I doing it right? Because I'm scared they're going to shoot me. 5 years old, my grandbaby's going to be traumatized.
Sorry.
I'm sure.
But see, they don't. We know that they don't care about all that. But let that been, you know, one of the palm-colored people, especially if they're of the ish. All right. Oh no, we gotta. But you can see how they're like dismissive. All right. They really don't want to hear this. They really don't want to be there.
That race has everything to do with it, as race always has everything to do with the treatment of people of color in America. The fish were evacuated and the people were left to die. The stray animals from the animal shelter, most of whom would have been euphemized, were evacuated 2 days before the storm and the people were left to die. Buses that could have gotten out people.
Did you hear that? The fishes, the exotic fishes, the animals, to include strays that were in these shelters, they were evacuated. They were evacuated, but they let Jake stay there. They sent him to the Superdome. And I think we all remember what happened there. There are all kinds of shenanigans going on there, including rape and murder, and, you know. They didn't give a
were
fuck
left
about
to
Jake. Still don't.
flood and
Never did.
people were left to die. The military, which has the great capability of moving entire cities, failed to move in and move out the people the way the dogs and the fish had been moved out, and people were left to die. Mostly poor, mostly people of color. Race had everything to do with the ethnic cleansing and the massacre of predominantly African American people
And
being blamed on Hurricane
Ms.
Katrina.
Hodges,
And you already know this channel holds racist Caucasian people accountable, because if we don't, who will? And before we start this video, don't like black people, black issues, black talks. Get stepping. Yes, over 90 countries did offer assistance to the U.S. following Hurricane Katrina, including New Orleans. Many nations pledged both financial aid and material support to help with the recovery efforts. The U.S. government declined or did not fully utilize a significant portion of the international aid offered after Hurricane Katrina. While over 150 countries and international organizations offered assistance, including valuable supplies, services, and cash, much of it was not effectively used. If that makes sense. And I've been talking about this on my channel, but now we have a new documentary that just came out, and I'm happy about it, because now you finally see on TikTok everybody telling their side of the story. People from the city, people from New Orleans telling their side of the story. They showing you pictures, they showing you old video footage. And I don't know if it's just New Orleans or Louisiana as a whole, but we're not vulnerable with people. Just think about it. Up to that documentary coming out, people been having these stories. They never talked about it. That's just something about New Orleans. That's just something about Louisiana. We're not going to be vulnerable with anybody. Our feelings are really, really important. We think you're going to judge us. So therefore, we're not going to be vulnerable with you. So to have people from the city, to have people from New Orleans tell their side of the story to the whole wide world on TikTok, that's powerful. Tell me I'm lying. You had over 90 goddamn countries trying to help the city. You had over 90 goddamn countries trying to send help to New Orleans, and these racist Caucasians turned it down.
Did you hear that? People from other countries sent aid and it was turned down. Reminds you of what Gaddafi did, right? $1 billion, and the U.S. said no. He sent $1 billion over here for, the so-called blacks in the U.S. government. So what do you think all this is telling you? All right, let's get scripture real quick. This is one of my favorites in order to describe this piece of shit that's over us. This is Psalms. See, you're going, and this falls under the curses because, in fact, let me get that first. All right. This is Deuteronomy 28. And again, blessings for obedience. That's what Moses is telling his people. All right. Again, not everybody. His people, the Israelites. All right. I'm just going to read 1 and 2 and skip down. It says, Deuteronomy 28:1, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy God, all right, to observe and to do all his commandments, all right, which I command thee this day, that the Most High Yahweh thy God, thy power, will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. All right, Deuteronomy 7 and 6, right? And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy God. All right, and gives you all the blessings, all right? Blessed shalt thou be in the city, blessed shalt thou be in the field, wherever you go, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, thy children, thy children's children, all right? All your cattle, all right, flocks of sheep, all that. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. We will be prosperous, all right? But when we skip down here to 15, oh man, 14, really? There's a warning. Curses for disobedience. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee. So pretty much, the reverse of everything we just read, verses 3, 4, and 5. But it gets oh, so much more. All right. Curses shall thou be when thou comest in and when thou goest out. I mean, and speed it along. All right. What does it say down here? The Lord shall smite thee with madness. Look at Jake around out here. What is this? And it applies to what happened down there. All right. When you hear all the atrocities that Jake committed on Jake. All right. It says, the Most High shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. All right. All these apply. You might find a couple of nations that maybe one or two of these apply, but every one of them, that's our people wherever they are in this world. All right. And it says this later on that these curses act as a mark. All right. A sign as to who is who. All right. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fall longing for them all the day. Remember 12 Years a Slave, all these slave movies, not only the movies, but, a reflection of what actually happened to our people being auctioned off, and especially that scene in 12 Years a Slave where the woman is constantly crying to where Solomon, he just says, and they're like, shut up. I'm paraphrasing, of course. That scene there. That's a very powerful scene for that verse there. All right. And for those of you that wondering why all these people, they keep coming over here and getting above us, well, that's a result of these curses. 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And this so-called white man, these Edomites, especially here in America, they make sure that we can't get any loans, we can't get any capital, for our businesses, and therefore, what happens? They always fail. The previous verse, I believe, was 17, talking about our basket in our store. That's what it's talking about. That's one of the things that, this only applies to us. 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commands thee. And these curses, it says, and they shall be upon thee for a sign, and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. Until you go, that's why we're out there on the highways and byways, people. So things like Katrina and all these calamities that come upon us, it tells you because what? We turned our back on the covenant that was between the Most High Yahweh and his people, which is Israel. And it tells you these curses that are upon us. We wonder how, damn. That's why I call Deuteronomy 28 and all these curses, they are the Murphy's Law of the Israelites. What can go wrong will go wrong. All right. Let's see. Because thou servest not the Most High. This is got cause and effect, right? It says, because thou servest not. This is why these things are happening. Because thou servest not the Most High Yahweh thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies. And our main one is what? These damn Edomites, these so-called white people. Earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? Job 9 and 24. Who's running this world? The banksters. The banksters are who? Edomite. All right. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed you. You think they don't know this? Remember, all those nations volunteered to help, and the United States turned it down. Gaddafi offered $1 billion. They turned it down because they want and they need us to be in the predicament that we're in. Think they don't know these particular scriptures here, they can't afford for us to be prosperous here. They're at the end of the day, they're doing what the, and I'm gonna get that. They're doing, because I'm gonna go back to the other scripture I had. They're doing what the Most High is set them up to do. They are the wicked. They are an instrument of the Most High against us for our what? Disobedience. This is King David here. Psalms. Remember all these songs. All right. Because King David was also a prophet, right? And these were meant to be sung. All right. It says Psalm 17:13. Arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him. Who's the him? King David did not. He despised Edomites. You read Psalms 137. All right. He despised these so-called white people. Arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Sword is a weapon, an instrument. All right. So let's go to Psalms, the one I had initially brought up, because this is what you expect mercy from a wicked piece of shit like this, someone who, whenever we've tried to help ourselves and get away from them, it's always sabotaged because what most Jake don't realize is that's exactly it. Because how dare you try to nation build? I brought you over here to be slaves, to be to make my life easier, to be my entertainment. How dare you? So anytime, if you trace it back to whenever we tried to become self-reliant or anything, however you want to phrase it, all right, can't have that. Remember, ancient Egypt, the Pharaoh there, all right? What happened? Let's go, in fact, let's go get that. Let's go get that. Because a lot of you don't, you just don't get it. It says, Israel increases greatly in Egypt, all right? It says, now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. I'm going to skip on down because it's just going over the tribes. All right. Let me go back up to 5. And it says, and all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob, talking about one people here, were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. Remember, his brethren had sold him to the Midianites. All right. Ishmael. It says, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. All right. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them. Pharaoh, all right, here we go. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Because Joseph had run, while he was there, he was sold into slavery. And the Most High blessed him. And again, he was used for a specific purpose. All right. He became like second in command. All right. It says, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. See, there's a little undercurrent here, or let me think of another word, something else that escaped a lot of people, a lot of Southern Kingdom Jake. And it's some truth to the feeling that Jake Southern Kingdom has, because a lot of other nations have, what's the word I'm looking for, used Jake. There's another word I was thinking of. It'd be more accurate, but I'll just go with use Jake to, when they come over here, as far as immigrants rather, and they use Jake as a stepping stone, and they're quite rude and disrespectful to Jake that is over here. I mean, and once they get what they want, and this is also a strategy lately of these Edomites because they used Jake from the Caribbean and elsewhere that don't have the history that Jake here in America has, and that's why you see a lot of them, especially with the Congressional Black Caucus, they'll get in here and you say, well, what about reparations? And they'll say, well, why should I pay? Because they don't have that history, and Jake, for the most part, hasn't caught on to that. All right, and they say, well, hey, divide and conquer, right? It works. And Jake is getting tired of this shit. That's why Jake is not helping the Northern Kingdom. And in many cases, rightfully so, because you have some racist ass Northern Kingdom. All right. I'm just going to put it out there. And Jake, for the longest, has been extending their hand. And they say, fuck you, and you're lazy and all this shit because why? Esau didn't treat them the way that they treated us or come after them, but now they are. And some things have to be, like I say, experience is the best teacher. All right. Anyway, continuing on this, it says, come on, let us deal with them wisely. Let me see what that wisely there is. All right. And that is come. All right. God dang it. That thing is so sensitive. To be wise in mind, word or act exceeding, teach wisdom, make shew itself wise, deal. Never so wisely, make wiser. Okay. I said, and that's just common sense. And I thought another reason why what happened is because they're aware of the prophecies also. And they're trying to, as much as they can, keep northern and southern kingdoms from coming together. Revelation 11th chapter. All right. It says, they join also into our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. All right, and that's another thing. We were brought over here to be slaves, to make them prosperous, not us. This is punishment for us. Again, you think they want us to leave? All right, so if we built all these cities for ourselves, just coming out of maybe one or two generations removed from chattel slavery, think of what fear that instills. Wait a minute, these were our niggers, and they, within, like I said, one or two generations, they got their own towns, and come on now, we can't have that. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. What does that tell you? Well, a couple of things. This has never stopped when it came to us. Eugenics. All right. And it also proves who's the more important as far as genealogy is concerned. All right. Inheritance. All right. Because it is the male, all right, that keeps that bloodline going. All right. But the midwives feared the Most High and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. All right. So this is why what's going on here in D.C. with the, might as well call it martial law. It's just one step from it. But why would you put your trust in this, and now let me go, I almost forgot. Let me go to Psalms, my initial point I was trying to make. You're gonna, you do all this marching and shit, and that's allowed. You can go ahead and march as much as you want. Go on out there, have at it. All right? But you're not doing the one thing that they fear. What I say about being productive as far as nation building, do those things. They gotta know they got you going, like I said, divide and conquer. All right? It's like playing those video games. You got what the big, what do they call them? The final boss. All right. You got a lot of people out here just stuck on level 1 and 2. All right. You're not gonna ever see the final boss. All right, because you're fighting it the wrong way. We're trying to tell you how to fight it as the scriptures. This is the blueprint. All right. Psalms 43:1. Judge me, O Most High, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation, which they are. All right. Oh, deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. You believe that Catholicism, you believe that Judaism. It has nothing to do with the scriptures. That's their shit. All right. Remember, Revelation 20th chapter. All right. When he was let out of that prison, which was the dark ages, where he was running around hairy and naked in the woods in Europe, because he was brought down that low after Rome fell. That's what that's about. That's actually between uh, Revelation 21st and 7th chapters. It's like 3 different time periods it's talking about there. All right. So you've got, as it says there, he was set loose for that little season in order to do what? Deceive the nations. And that's what he has done. Saying if there is a Most High and his Son and the heavenly host, they look like him. No. And who did he set out to deceive first with that? What? Northern Kingdom initially. And they still fall for that crap today. Oh, we have to better the race. And you marry an Edomite, a damn devil. And you hate yourself. This devil has, woo, he got a lot to pay for. All right, so let's go back to the video.
They knew how powerful the Ninth War was. They knew how powerful the Seventh War was. Hell, the lower Ninth War before Hurricane Katrina, it was 98% black people, and 59% of those black people owned their homes. So this is why they decided to do what they did to our people. Run the tape.
Let me go a little further than that. There was a military person in my house, somebody who served their country well, who, when we started looking at what was this too loud, boom, boom, mister, I'll never forget it.
Let me ask you this, ma'am. How far?
He said, Mama D, that was a bomb.
Were you going to answer my question?
Yeah.
How far away is your porch?
From the London Street Canal, it's halfway to my post office box that I walk every day.
So the levee is just across the street from you?
I'll say, how far is St. Aug from me? Broad and St. Bernard, Broad and AP2 Road.
Can you see the levee breach from your house?
I haven't looked for it.
From
I'm
your,
still looking for dead people.
From your house, do you see the levee where it's breached?
I haven't looked for it, mister. I'm trying to tell you.
No, but you're not answering the question.
I have not gone. One of the reporters came and I sent him to look at it, which was right down from my house. He can verify that for you.
Can you see the levee from your house where it was breached?
Are you familiar with New Orleans?
I'm asking you a question.
You can't see from one street to the other if you got two-story houses and trees. I live on a tree-lined street. That's what I'm saying. You need to come see my city.
So far, I've asked you 2 questions, and you've been very unresponsive. The first
I
question.
don't know what you're calling unresponsive.
Well, the first question was how far.
Can I see? No, I can't see you. I wear glasses and I can't afford to buy any. I heard.
Man, we don't need to speak in tongues. We just need to speak in honest answers.
That is honest. I have no reason to lie to you. Who are you, Mr. What have you done for me? I'm sitting up here now. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do from tomorrow. Why would I have to sit here and lie to you, first of all?
Can I just ask,
I wanna be on the same page with you.
can I understand it, is that you didn't see it, but you heard it, is that fair to say?
Anybody who saw it ain't living to tell about it.
So you didn't see it, but you heard it.
Man,
If you haven't exercised in years,
Oh,
start
boy.
small with my beginner-friendly Tai Chi class. 3 weeks.
make that make sense. And you see how evil these people are. And look, I'm gonna be honest, I can't even watch those TikTok videos because it's so traumatic. Matter of fact, I got a cousin, he's a cousin by marriage, and to this day we're still close. But his grandmother lives in the ninth ward, and we used to go there every weekend, especially during football season, and she'll make us some yakamine, and we'll watch LSU play Sunday, we'll watch the Saints play. Look, the ninth ward has so much culture, and they knew that, so that's why they keep trying to destroy it over and over and over again. If I'm lying, tell me I'm lying. But hold up, 2005 wasn't the first time they attacked the lower ninth ward. Let's go back to 1965, Hurricane Betsy. Check this out. There were reports and rumors during and after Hurricane Betsy in 1965 that the Army Corps of Engineers may have intentionally breached a levee to control flooding, potentially impacting areas like the lower ninth ward. However, sources like LSU Library suggest that the Army Corps of Engineers may have attempted to use a barge to control the water flow through a levee during a storm, but the barge went through the levee, causing flooding. Make that make sense? And they had the audacity in this video to talk to those people crazy and play dumb like they didn't know that they blew the levees up on purpose. And the only reason why they didn't take over the lower ninth ward after Hurricane Katrina is because our people fought back. But the rabbit hole gets even deeper. Hurricane Betsy, it wasn't their first attack on the lower ninth ward either. Check this out. During the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927, levees were dynamited in the lower ninth ward of New Orleans to prevent the flooding of other parts of the city. This action, taken to protect wealthier parts of the city, led to the inundation of predominantly black neighborhoods.
Yep, there's a book I read it when it first came out. I had it. I still have it to this day. Let me remember the title. The Great Mississippi Flood. Here it is, 1927, by Barry. What's this? Here it is. Let's see. Said laid, as it said here, laid bare the divide between the North and the South. All right. These motherfuckers, man. That's a good book. Let me get the whole title. And I think it was and How It Changed America or something like that. Hold on. Oh man, where's the book? 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 And how Calvin Coolidge, he was in a, when this happened, let's see, how he used this to get to the presidency. God dang it. Let's see, here it is, Rising Tide. There it is. That's how I got it. That's how I missed that part. John M. Barry, I think it was. Hold on. Yeah, John M. Barry. Okay. Yep. Excellent book. And the reason I got this book was because here in D.C. there was a storyteller that came up. He was in his 90s, so he went back to this time. This was 90. Yeah. So he would have been. Ooh, I think he was 95 years old around there. So he was born around at 1903. So yeah, he was a grown man when this happened. So he was telling how blacks and whites work together. And a local here in D.C. Reporter, can't think of his name right off the top of my head here. He said, "No, something's not right," especially during that time period. So he investigated, and it was because of his article that I got the book. Because he told her that, and I was like, oh man, when you read that, now I will caution you, the first 80 or so pages is talking about a conflict between two engineers. One worked for the Army Corps of engineers and another one from the private sector, and they were always in conflict with each other. But after that, oh man, the shit that they did to Jake, it's a good book. I recommend it if you know, have the opportunity to get it. Let's go back.
Neighborhoods in the area. While the levees were intentionally breached, it is important to note that the primary impact on the food availability in the Ninth Ward was due to the resultant flood, not directly the dynamite itself. The flood would have destroyed crops, displaced people, and disrupted loyal businesses and supply chains, leading to a significant impact on food availability and access for residents. Make that make sense? And you got people on YouTube calling me racist. How, Sway? Nah, those, they just want to have a seat with massa. They
Yeah.
want to be comfortable with massa. See, that's not me. I'm going to always bring awareness because this happened in 1927. Nobody talking about it. This happened in 1965. Nobody talking about it. This happened in...
I think if I remember correctly, in that book it talked about when it first started raining, and it got up to like 15 inches an hour or something like that. And you had areas that were like 20 feet deep as far as floodwaters. Yeah, it was really bad. But they don't teach you that particular history of school, amongst other things. I wonder why.
2005, and I wasn't the only one on YouTube talking about it, but now a lot of people was talking about it before this documentary came out. Now to keep talking about it, it is what it is. And this the cold part. No one talks about Mississippi. They got a direct hit from Hurricane Katrina. No one talks about it. But I keep telling y'all, history repeats itself. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, check this out. Oscarville, Georgia, which is now Lake Lanier, was flooded in 1956, was a prosperous black town. A violent racial cleansing campaign in 1912 drove out most black residents. The land was later flooded. Next, we have Kalasha, Alabama. It was flooded in 1926. Founded by former enslaved man named William Benson, Kalasha included schools, factories, and a black-owned railroad. It was submerged to create Lake Martin. Make that make sense. And if I really wanted to, I could go on and on, but that'll take me all goddamn day. But I'm starting to notice a pattern. The army keeps helping these racist people flood black communities. They helped them flood Oscarville, Georgia. They helped them flood New Orleans. And look, if I'm tripping, in the comment section, tell me I'm tripping. But I keep telling y'all, the game is cold with these people. And before I go, I have to say this. I have to speak from the heart before I go. Look, if you went through Hurricane Katrina and you're from the city, look, put your story in the comment section. I don't care how long the paragraph is. Put that in the comment section. Or if you have family members that went through something crazy during Katrina, during those levees breaking, put that in the comment section. Even for my people from Mississippi that went through Hurricane Katrina, tell your story on my comment section because we need to hear that, man, because it keeps happening over and over and over again throughout history. They keep doing the same thing because a lot of our people had to relocate, whether it's Baton Rouge, Plaquemine, Lake Charles, Lafayette, White Castle. You have to go all the way to Houston. You have to go all the way to Georgia. Some went to California. Some went all the way to Arizona. Some of our people went to Minnesota and they called them refugees. So tell your story. And speaking of relocating, Fox News, August the 8th, Fox News put up this article. I'm going to put that article in my description because I need y'all to read it. Their whole plan all along in 2000.
Also, remember Barbara Bush made the comment about the people that were refugees, how much better they would live, and when they relocated to Houston, how much better off they, I mean, well, these people.
2005 with Hurricane Katrina and those levees was to murder black people and force them to relocate so they can take over and turn New Orleans into Nova. If you know, you know. I'm out.
So
there you have it. Damn. One little thing here, because they lied and said that about the levee. So this is a little film here, in addition to what you just saw.
At daybreak, Katrina was roaring. Visibility was next to nothing. The 9 New Orleans firefighters riding her out inside the Lake Marina Tower couldn't see much, but heard plenty.
The wind coming through back here was, it was like a freight train coming through there, howling noise it was making.
Just after 9 o'clock in the morning, Captain Paul Helmers, an 18-year veteran, saw something he wasn't expecting. Water rising in the back parking lot.
I would say about 10 minutes after we saw it rising, I was pretty certain that the levee had to be breached. It was rising at such a rate.
Helmers grabbed his video camera and went up to this top floor stairwell. With the building swaying, he searched and searched, but couldn't see the breach until visibility cleared enough for him to zoom in a half a mile away to the water pouring in.
When I saw that, I'm sure my coworkers had the same reaction. You know, my heart just dropped. Even though I knew the levees were breached before that, seeing it, and I just, knowing that the fate of the city was sealed.
It was surreal. You took it in and you wondered how high the water was going to be in the city.
And you can see that it's like gone.
My first instinct when we saw the levee break was, this is bigger than 9/11. I thought that the fatalities would be in the, thousands, if not tens of thousands. So it was, it was heavy.
Heavy because it was their neighborhood, their homes. Captain Joe Fincher, just a couple of days before Katrina, had videotaped his Lakeview house for insurance purposes. Now, it was filling up with 10 feet of water. The floodwaters also destroyed the Lakeview home of Captain Gordon Case. He didn't see it happen, but he had firefighters on his crew watch from above as the water swallowed their homes.
I guess it would have to be torture to know that you can see the water rising on your house and not be able to do anything about it.
But as the water kept rising, they knew what their role would be. Rescues.
As soon as we saw the water come to the parking lot, I'm thinking people are going to be dying soon. That was my first thought.
By early afternoon, when the winds calmed enough, the firefighters swam out to find a boat. They found this blue one that today still sits along the condo parking lot wall. Captain Case hot-wired it, and they made the first of many life-saving trips into the neighborhood near the breach.
He was standing in his bathtub with water up to his chin when we got over there. And me and my firefighter, Pat Ball, broke the window out and was able to rescue him. He wasn't saying much. He barely could stand. And we got him in, and I don't think he would have made it much longer. The water was still rising at that point, and I think he would have surely drowned in the next few minutes.
The rescues continued for 4 days, from sunup until it was just too dark. First responders simply do their job. They do not consider themselves heroes. And nearly 10 months after the storm, they don't think about the people they saved. It's the people they couldn't get to.
I tried to think about it too much. Too many people suffering. Too many people needed help.
You knew you couldn't get to them all.
No, we only had a crew of 9 men here. There's, as you can see, there's thousands of houses.
The firefighters say there's a reason you haven't heard their story so many months after the storm. The video they shot of the levee breach was used in the recently completed congressional investigation. And while they testified, they were told to stay quiet about what they saw until it was over. And they say what they saw wasn't what was being reported in those first few months.
There you go.
They knew the levees didn't overtop, which was initially thought. They knew the 9:45 a.m. time frame of the levee breach was also off.
Oh no, it certainly broke by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Captains Helmers, Case, and Fincher combined have been in the department for 56 years. But it will be those first 5 days of Katrina they'll never forget.
The whole thing I took in kind of like a snapshot in my mind. Remember this because this is something you're going to remember the rest of your life.
Mike Goss, Eyewitness News, Night Watch.
The National Geographic Channel is doing a special called The Drowning of New Orleans, which includes the efforts of the New Orleans firefighters in this story. It airs Wednesday night at 8 o'clock on the National Geographic Channel.
Yeah, and there you go. And to think, after all this shit, what other protection do we have outside of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua? They made it clear, all right, then they're not going to do anything for us of substance. I keep saying that, whether it be reparations or, half-hearted rescues. You had stories about firefighters back in the day that just left Jake to burn. Didn't put the effort into it for saving him. Yeah, came straight out of their mouths. So yeah, that's why we say, why would you want to stay in this place? Fuck it, you know. This is why we're trying to get our people. Hey, you're an Israelite. Who you should be praying to. The Most High's name is Yahweh, and His Son's name is Yahweh Shah. All right, but you still have, as proof by what the videos that Elder Matazakba down in South Carolina. I mean, all these supposed Christians are coming out of the woodwork, and they're all Jake, trying to defend what they learned from this devil. You know, yeah, that's just it. Those same spirits coming back. So with that, once again, I hope that whoever views this is being edified, and of course, especially now. All right, continue to be circumspect. All right. So with that, hey, to the next video, shalom.